Hello everyone, my name is Nathan Chi. I'm an intern here at TwelveLabs, and today I'm super excited to be launching this new video series regarding TwelveLabs' latest product called TwelveLabs Jockey. And so we'll be kicking it off with this first episode where we're first and foremost going to learn what Jockey is and really just understand all the core technical concepts behind Jockey before we start writing any actual code. And so for those who don't already know what Jockey is essentially TwelveLabs' latest agentic model that sort of utilizes both Marengo and Pegasus. And so if you don't already know, Marengo is TwelveLabs' video to embedding model, while Pegasus is TwelveLabs' video to text model. And so what this new technology does is it sort of combines the best of both worlds, in which we now have an agent provided to you via a very easy to call API route that utilizes both models and understands when to utilize those models for specific tasks. And so I know that that might not seem completely clear now, but referencing this documentation, I'd like to sort of clarify how powerful it is to actually have a technology like this rather than just relying on the old search and analyze API calls. And so don't worry, the search and analyze API calls will be staying, but there will be more to think about when you're deciding whether or not to actually use those APIs in comparison to Jockey. And so the main benefit of switching over to Jockey rather than just calling Marengo and Pegasus directly is that you now have a corpus level understanding. And so what that means is that instead of trying to call Pegasus on, for example, the 15 videos within your video inventory, Jockey understands all 15 videos all in one go. So you index all of the videos inside what's called a knowledge store, which we'll actually be able to build today. And then from there, all your prompts that you ask Jockey will actually look into all 15 videos at once, rather than Pegasus or Marengo deep diving into one specific video at a time. And so Jockey won't actually, it won't just be a simple summarizer. It'll still have the same level of depth and quality that you would expect in any inference call. It's just that it understands all your videos at once. And so you can sort of see a more detailed breakdown here in the table. For searching for a specific moment or summarizing a single video, you'd still want to use Marengo and Pegasus for that. Not only just for the fact that it might inference better as it's not as noisy, but it also costs less in the sense that you only have to index this one video, you don't have to create a knowledge store, things of that nature. But there's a lot of interesting workflows that are unlocked with corpus level reasoning instead of just single video understanding. And that's things like organizing videos by topic, tracking entities across videos. So some examples that I can think of and some examples that I know that our model is powerful at is, for example, like CCTV. If you have 15 videos scattered across 15 different locations and sites, and you want to track that one person that's moving between those CCTV cameras, calling Pegasus on each of those 15 videos will not be able to have that sort of corpus level reasoning and understanding. It won't be able to reason through all those videos through a single prompt. It'll lose context on every single call. But Jockey, on the other hand, will actually retain that context regarding your prompt and throughout its video searches, as it's calling Pegasus and Marengo internally while having that memory. And of course, building agent workflows. That is also one of the key strong suits of Jockey, and we'll go a little bit more into exactly why that is. But yeah, the only downside is that it won't be able to directly generate vector embeddings. For that, you'll still have to resort to the Marengo model. And so, yeah, you can definitely feel free to read more on the documentation, but at a very high level, the key benefit of Jockey is that it understands your videos in batches rather than having just singular video understanding. And so how this is actually done is through something called a knowledge store. And so this is not to be confused with your indexes that are already in your playground of your 12Labs account. Knowledge stores are specific to Jockey, and they're a persistent store of your videos specifically for Jockey, and they have some very unique configurations you can add. If you click on configure ingestion here, one of the unique things you can add to this that you actually can't do in an original 12Labs index is something called an ingestment configuration or an enrichment configuration. And what this does is it sort of emphasizes to your Jockey model what to focus on when analyzing this specific batch of videos. And so that's very powerful, as previously with your indexes in 12Labs, these were sort of just folders in which you could sort your videos if you had like different use cases, different verticals you wanted to build for your workflows. You would sort them into different indexes, but they wouldn't inherently change the understanding of Marengo or Pegasus models themselves. You would still have to tune the prompt, things like that. But with this new Jockey model and with this new enrichment configuration, you can actually set up your knowledge store to actually emphasize to the model beforehand what type of data to focus on. So you can see in this one example, there's things, this specific knowledge store will focus on people count, location, suspicious activity, and scene description. And so you can already imagine this is super useful for things like security, but you can obviously configure this for anything you'd want, whether that be video editing, entity tracking, or any agentic workflow. Having that sort of context for your knowledge stores is very powerful in actually improving the inference quality of this model. And so how it works is that you create a knowledge store, and it's very easy to create. We'll be diving into the code of how to actually do this in a little bit, but it's just a singular API call. And in order to add assets, so very similar to uploading videos to a specific index in the typical 12Labs platform, again, just another API call to upload your assets there. And so this was briefly mentioned before as well, but Jockey is an agent, but it's not an agent you have to build. It's already built out by 12Labs, so it's not like LangChain or LangGraph where you have to set up your state nodes and build on individual tools. Jockey is fully done with just a single API call. And yeah, all you have to do is to set up a knowledge store, index your assets into that knowledge store with your specific enrichment configuration, and your agent is pretty much ready to go there. And yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different use cases, things like extracting entities, tracking across videos, assembling highlight reels. These are all things that were previously very difficult with just single video level sort of context windows, if that even makes sense, as you had to sort of feed into your prompt which specific video you wanted, the asset ID, and even for different other foundational models, you very quickly hit the context window limit when you're uploading videos. So this sort of solves all of that by being built to actually handle many videos at once. And so to get started, you can of course reference the documentation, but I have built a very handy GitHub repository for this series. And we're going to be starting off at 1-setup, which is essentially going to be setting up your first knowledge store, indexing assets, and really doing your first prompt. And so you can feel free to pull the repository. We're going to be doing a lot of cool sort of experiments and use cases with Jockey. Just as a small preview, one of the things we're going to be doing in the next episode is actually building this Jockey arena, which compares things like latency, tokens, costs of Jockey versus other LLMs. And that'll allow you to very quickly visualize how powerful Jockey is in comparison to other foundational video models out there on the market right now. And so, great. Once you pull that repository, it should look something like this. And make sure that you set up your .env. So you'll need a 12Labs API key, of course. And you'll also need a knowledge store ID. And so the knowledge store ID is what we'll be creating in this episode, and we'll also be uploading assets to it and prompting it as well. And so again, it's very simple in that you pretty much start off the process by uploading assets to the TwelveLabs platform itself. And so this is just like any asset upload. It's not different from uploading to Marengo or Pegasus. You can actually just do it right here on the web platform. You can click upload assets, drag your video files, and you'll have a bunch of these videos here now. And they'll all have a unique asset ID. And that is the same asset ID that we'll be passing to Jockey. So it's not a different asset ID for Marengo and Pegasus. It's the exact same one shared throughout the TwelveLabs platform. And so that's what this function does if you want to do it programmatically. But you can, of course, just feel free to upload assets here on the TwelveLabs playground itself as well. And then here is a quick helper function for creating a knowledge store. And so again, very simple API call to the knowledge stores API. We have a ingestion configuration. It's optional. I believe Jockey does have a default sort of things it wants to focus on, but if you want to get your Jockey agent to sort of focus on specific details within the video, we highly recommend that you actually input a ingestion configuration. And so inside the header is just going to be that ingestion configuration as well as the knowledge store name. Keep in mind, you cannot have duplicate knowledge store names or else this will error. And then what this sort of function will return is just the knowledge store ID. And so with that knowledge store ID, we can ingest assets. So this API is, again, calling knowledge stores, but we pass in the knowledge store ID. So this essentially just tells the TwelveLabs platform which knowledge store you want to be uploading specific asset IDs to. And so you just call this for every single asset ID you want to upload to that knowledge store. And Jockey will then have a complete understanding and reasoning of those videos that you put into that knowledge store. And lastly, it's a prompt here. The model in this case is Jockey 1.0. You plug in the knowledge store ID, you plug in your prompt, and then very quickly, you have just completed creating your own knowledge store and prompting Jockey. And so here's just some example code. It will take a little while just to run, especially if you have longer form video content, but again, shouldn't really differ too much from the indexing speed of Marengo and Pegasus. And yeah, so I won't rerun this code, but I will show you a bit of context as to what I sort of did here. So here I really wanted to make a sports knowledge store. Specifically, I uploaded a bunch of World Cup games focused on the Portugal national team. And then so I wanted to extract data about the people. And so for my enrichment configuration, I put things about the people count, the people names, and people actions. I really wanted to know who was doing what in every single scene. And then that returned the sports knowledge ID. And then from there, I replugged that knowledge ID back into my ingest assets function with the individual asset IDs from my TwelveLabs playground. And so again, same asset IDs as Marengo and Pegasus here. Uploaded it there, and then simply prompted it, give me a detailed report of Cristiano Ronaldo's actions in the videos. And so I won't be running this code now, but in the next episode, we'll actually be working with this knowledge store ID within the Jockey arena to actually see how it stacks up with other models. And so with that being said, again, feel free to pull the code, try it out yourself. It's a very exciting piece of technology that I think is very special in the sense that at this point in time, at the time of this recording, there's not many platforms and technologies that have this sort of corpus level understanding of this long form video content. And so definitely something super exciting to try out. And yeah, thank you for watching and hope to see you guys soon in the next episode.